So I'm Melinda Brown, and I'm here to do a handle for you today for Yellowstone Custom Leathers and their Legacy Bag Makers Challenge. And we're going to be doing a two-tone spin on a double-sided handle. This is typically something for a tote bag. It's not something that you would really want to use for any kind of an adjustable strap because the leather is going to be too thick to actually thread through a buckle. So I'm starting out by cutting the thinner of my straps, which is at 3/4 of an inch, by however long you want to make your handle. In this case, I wanted to have a 33-inch handle, which would give me about a 15-inch strap drop, which is sort of comfortable for me on a tote bag. So I have cut 2 of these out of this really neat embossed hieroglyphics leather that they had. And then I also have 2 of these larger, thicker pieces that are this teal leather. I have skived that down because it's going to be folded over. So it needed to be a little bit thinner at the edges. So the inner set of the strap is at 3/4 of an inch, and that's going to give us enough of a width to allow this to be a 1 inch. The wider pieces are at 1 1/4 inch, and again, that's going to give me enough to fold over the inner layer and make it have plenty of both pieces showing. So I'm going to next take my strips. I'm going to add in a reinforcement into the center. I like to use gross grain ribbon, and this is a 7/8 inch gross grain. I'm just going to cut these to length for each of my straps, and then we're going to glue it in. Now, some people would probably just use double-sided tape. This is one of the few places that I really feel like glue is much more appropriate because it's sort of bonding the ribbon to the actual leather, which will keep it from stretching. You can also use a self-adhesive nylon ribbon or something like that. It's fine. But I'm just going to glue this in. So I like to start with getting a really good amount of glue and then spreading it all along the edge with a spreader. Since these are skived pieces, you kind of have to go a little bit towards both sides. But the main thing is to get it right down the middle because that's where my ribbon really needs to go. So I do make sure that I try to get as centered as possible. And with this glue, because I don't let it get too sticky, it really is easy to reposition. So as you can see, I got off a little bit here, and I was able to just pull it back up and reposition it and get it to stick down properly. But it's just very important. The ribbon is so thin, so it doesn't really add any bulk to the thickness of the strap. But it's really helpful to keep it from stretching and growing over time, that it will completely warp out of shape if you don't have some kind of reinforcement in there. So I did that to both of those and glued that down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take a double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick that right down on top of that ribbon. And then I'm going to be able to position the accent leather right down the middle of it as well. And I like to use the Hyperstick tape, an 1/8 of an inch from Waywack. I just find that is really adhesive quality is really excellent for it. It really sticks very well to leather, and but it is something that you don't want to sew over it if you can avoid it at all costs. So I like to use the 1/8 inch because it's generally going to be able to be something I can keep out of my seam allowances. And so I'm just going to position the accent leather right down the middle. I like to line this up on my cutting table so that I can kind of keep it as straight as possible, and then try to center it right into the middle of that teal colored leather. And take your time, go slow with it. You can get a ruler if you want and actually really measure it precisely and make sure that it's dead on. I usually kind of eyeball it because I've been doing this a while and I like to kind of wing it. So it should be the same length. Both of these pieces are the same length, so you make it right down the center. And then I'm going to take my double-sided tape again, and I'm going to put it down the edges of both sides of the teal leather. And then since I skived that leather and it's nice and soft, I can actually fold it over the edges of the accent leather. And because of the thickness of the leather itself and the folding it over, the result is that this ends up being a 1-inch strap. So even though the inner piece is 3/4 of an inch, the outer piece is 1 1/4 inch. By the time you fold it around together, it ends up being an inch. And this is 2 to 3 ounce leathers. Most of these, everything that I like to use is usually 2 to 3 ounce. I think the teal may have been closer to 3 to 4, which is why I skived it. And it just had a little bit of a firm temper, so I wanted to make sure that I could get it to curl around easily. And so now I'm going to remove my tape, and I'm going to fold it over. You could also use glue here. I find the glue to be very time consuming, and it's very hard to get it to stick, particularly to the embossed leathers. If you wanted to do that, there's of course the little bit of a seal or finishing on the embossed leather, so you'd have to go through and actually rough that up, and that would be very difficult. So now we're going to stitch down the raw edges of both of the teals leather. So you're going to be at 1/8 of an inch from the raw edge that you've folded over. You're just going to stitch that down a straight line both sides, and just take your time, go slow, get a nice straight stitch line, and then we're going to finish this up. So the next part, after I've got the 2 edges stitched down, so now I have my handles together, I want to figure out how I'm going to put the ending covers on. So I'm using a 1 inch by 1 inch piece of leather. That's this teal leather that I'm basically just going to glue it around the edge, and I'm going to stitch it right along the edge. And so here's what that looks like when it's done. It's a simple, easy way to have a strap end instead of actually putting in hardware. You could put in hardware if you wanted to. That's perfectly fine, but I like to go a little bit easy on this one and not have as much hardware. So next I have to decide whether I want to go from the back and fold up the teal side and have the teal end showing, or if I would like to go from the front and fold it over to the back so that all I get is that nice two-tone edge of the strap all the way down. And I decided to put the handle with the fold and the strap end on the back side. So I'm going to measure that and make sure that I have at least 1 inch or so that's from the very end. And I'm going to make my first mark is where I want my rivet to be placed at the very end. So I always start with the one at the very end of the handle so that I know exactly where that is. That one has to be placed in such a way where the handle, when the rivet is placed in there, the cap is going to clear the actual strap end or whatever hardware you've put on. So I usually measure that at about 1 inch in, and then I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to go ahead and punch the holes on all 4 ends because I know that those are not going to go anywhere. I know that that number is exactly where it needs to be for all 4 ends. So I like to go ahead and mark that with my pen so I know exactly where I'm going. And I do use the leather silver erasable marking pens that's specifically meant for leather, and I do get those at Mormino, but I do believe Yellowstone Custom Leathers also has those. So I'm going to go ahead and punch all of those holes with my basic leather punch tool. And then we're going to start measuring from that point to make sure I've got my second hole marked properly. So now normally I like to say another inch from the first hole to the second hole, and that usually gives you enough space to wrap around your hardware. However, not all hardware is the same. The hardware that you can get from Yellowstone Custom Leather is actually really nice thick hardware, and I know several other vendors also have that really nice thick hardware, but theirs is really good because it doesn't have the joint in it. It's actually all like cast together or welded together. I don't know welding, but it's one solid piece, so it's really helpful and it's very nice and substantial. But that does mean that sometimes your holes are not going to be in the right spot if you have marked it as in a place that would have actually been more appropriate for very thin hardware. So some hardware is very thin. So I'm going to go ahead and double check that, make sure that it's in the right spot. If I like that placement, then I'm going to go ahead and punch the second hole for all 4 of the rivet placements that I'm going to make. Okay, so next we're going to get our rivet setter, and I'm going to thread this through exactly the way that I've measured it and double checked, and then I just thread my rivet through. I always like to put the top part of the post on the front and then put the cap on the back. I don't know why, but I just do. And as long as you're consistent with it, that's really the biggest key with riveting, is just to be consistent. Because if you ever need to do anything to remove it, to take it off, if for whatever reason you needed to do that, you want to know which side has the cap, because that's going to be the side that you're going to probably be sitting there with pliers trying to get removed. Had that happen many times before, but certainly once you get a really good quality setter with the good quality dies, you really don't have that problem much anymore. So I'm just going to put this in here and go ahead and press it. One thing about rivet presses is you do want to give enough force to crush the rivet, but you don't have to actually put the entirety of your body weight behind it. You don't have to mash it really hard. Some people really go excessive on it, and you can actually distort your rivet. So you want to give it a good amount of pressure, but you don't have to really lay on it. And so that's it. You just rivet on. There's 4 rivets that hold this entire handle on, and I get both sides on here. And that is the end of the bag. So these handles are really, really easy to make. I think they're really interesting because they're slightly different than what you're used to seeing. They're really no more hardware or anything extra. It doesn't really require any special tools, and it is a really great way to actually practice your straight line stitching. If you're not really confident with straight line stitching, just doing something like this. And I like to use contrasting colors. I like to use a color that's going to show up enough so that I can actually see it, which actually helps a lot when you're starting to do straight line stitching and really getting a really nice top stitch. If I can't see my top stitch, I don't know that I'm not lining up right. So, and I feel like it keeps you honest. So I really like to use a contrasting thread as much as I can. So that is sort of the end of this tutorial. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for Yellowstone Custom Leathers for letting me have a chance to participate in this. Hopefully I can make a few more of these tutorials in the future with some different bag ideas. I don't have a shop. I don't have a brand. I don't have any of those things. I just really like making bags, and I like making strange bags and doing something different. This was just a tote that I was making for a close friend of mine. It's her birthday coming up. She's a huge Stargate fan, and these were some of the panels and things that she had picked up, and I think it turned out pretty nice. So thanks you all for watching, and if you have any questions, certainly feel free to hit me up. I'm always around on the Facebook group, and I'm always happy to help when I can.